Okay, so I already have cards pre-laid. My incense thing spilled. Whatevs. Okay, so as always, this reading was just gonna be for me, and as I was doing it, I felt like maybe other people could benefit from hearing from this. Alright, so right now I'm just using one deck. I might grab another deck. So the two cards that came out, which I actually pulled the two cards that for the overall energy of the reading at the end. So I don't get like a pre-diagnosed, like, oh, this is what this reading is about. After I pull out all the cards, I pull out the cards of what this reading is going to be about. So what this reading is going to be about, we have the Emperor and the Two of Cups. So the Two of Cups card is often referred to as the Twin Flame card. And personally for me, I always get like conflicting definitions in my mind about the Lovers card and the Two of Cups, which is annoying because I get all up in my head about the meaning and I stop listening to the messages. But when I was looking at this card in combination with the Emperor, just to show you the cool detail on this, you can see that, like, just looking at this card, it's everything is very organized, everything is very static, everything is like in a straight line. And then when you look at the background, there's like chaos going on, or what definitely appears to be chaos to the onlooker if they were to see it. So right now I'm just getting all these messages about I was watching Nassim Harriman on Quantum Revolution, a show called Quantum Revolution, and the host is Nassim Harriman, and the show's on Gaia. And these little lines back here reminded me of the diagram that was shown that was talking about how photons react, and that in every photon has a twin, a corresponding photon, that whatever happens to one photon happens to the other. And it kind of like seems sporadic and seems like they're going in like all these crazy directions. And it might be sporadic as far as the direction, but there's a design. There's a design involved, and in nature, everything in nature, there is a design. That it seems like it's chaotic, but when you look down to the underlying things that make it, there's an order. Going down to the smallest field is the quantum field, but I don't know a whole lot about that. It's something that I'm very interested in, but you know, everything that makes up anything, there's atoms, and those atoms have electrons. They're actually not 100% sure if protons are a thing. I'm not going to really get into that, but you know, the atoms have a specific order, they have a specific build, because those atoms are actually the thing that make up whatever it is that it is. Like, you know, this rock There's a particular type of atoms that are linked together that ultimately make this rock. And in between those atoms, there's like space. And the underlying of everything in creation has the same, I don't want to say makeup, but the same idea goes into its structuring. And I don't even know where all that shit just came from, because when I started this reading, none of that even came up. But this has to do with right now in our, well, probably since, we've been since the beginning of humanity. Maybe not the beginning. I don't know about that. I'm going all over the place right now. But for now, let's just talk about now. This is the emperor. He's sitting there, he's making lists, he's making rules, regulations, he's making sure everything is lined up just so. He's very stiff, very straightforward, no room for error, no nonsense. Gotta have a plan for everything and gotta execute the plan accordingly. You gotta have the steps numbered 1 through 10. Like, this is all about trying to control everything outside of you. All the while, what's going on everywhere, including inside of you, is this chaos that seems like chaos because it doesn't fit our model of what order is supposed to look like and what order is supposed to be. And I feel like with the combination of the Two of Cups, like the cups, they're fish. Fish flow in water. They swim. Their whole body is very, they have bones, but they're very small. They're very bendy. They flow. They are not stiff and hard like a rock, like metal. And the emperor is, he's the emperor. He's the one that's in control. He's the one making all the rules. And these two guys could really care less about who's in control and who's not in control. They're just excited to meet each other. And it's like not even really meeting each other. It's like finding yourself, but the only way you're going to find yourself is by allowing yourself to flow. This is the other half, the other part of the photon, the part that we thought that never even existed. Like we forgot. There's a part of us that we forgot. And right now is the time of remembering that thing that we forgot about ourselves. And this is talking about falling in love with yourself. Because out of all the cards that are here, there is no couple. I mean, as far as what the tarot says is a couple. There's one queen and she's in the reverse. There are no kings here. The empress isn't here for the emperor. This isn't about finding love outside of yourself. This is about finding love inside of yourself. And just to further prove the point, there's the Ace of Cups is here in the reverse. This is definitely, this is not about romantic love. This is not about finding love with other people. This is about finding the love for yourself. And angelfish, I'm pretty sure these are angelfish. And angelfish, you can't put two angelfish together because they fight. I don't know about if it's only the males or females, but I know that that's why when people own angelfish, they only have one and they don't need a lot of room. They just have one in like a little small little bowl I've heard stories of people saying that if they put their angelfish by a mirror, they try to attack their reflection. These two are not fighting. This is like self-realization. This is becoming self-aware. Like when you see a cat or dog, when they're a kitten or a puppy, look at themselves in the mirror, they always think it's another animal. Maybe even if it's not for a long time, like at first, that's what they think. And then when they realize it's not another animal, there's no smell, they're moving exactly like they're moving, and eventually it sinks in that it's not, it's an illusion. This is like recognizing this as the illusion and finding yourself through allowance and flowing and finding the part of you that you lost, which is what I feel like everyone is always feeling like I just want to be happy. I just want to get a boyfriend or girlfriend or a husband or wife and have kids, and I just want to be happy. And those are all things that are outside of you. And what often happens is, even after you have all that, you still aren't happy. You're not happy because you continue to not remember the part of yourself that you forgot. You continue to look to things outside of yourself for fulfillment, for love, for happiness, when everything that you've ever needed is within you. Anything you've ever wanted is within you. And I think this is also talking about seeing the truth of how the system that currently is in place, that we thought was the only way to live, is also only half of the truth. It's part of the truth, certainly, but it's not the whole truth. There's things that we can only see if we turn the card a certain way and have that light reflection. And I am just really curious what the artist intended for that artwork behind the Emperor. So I'm gonna take a quick peek. I just combined quick peek together. Okay. I want to see what that artwork is, because it really looks like what they were talking about on that show, like the diagram that they showed, like a computer generated thing. Let me see. The Emperor is flanked by the tracings of a bubble chamber, a device used to track the study and the movement of charged particles that move through it. What did I fucking tell you? As the particles lose energy, they start to dive into helical patterns, coincidentally forming an aesthetically pleasing display that is often used to represent the field of scientific studies, specifically physics, which again, that's what that was Quantum Revolution is about, quantum physics specifically. This overreaching field of physics encompasses both the study of minute particles and gargantuan planetary bodies alike, with its ultimate goal being the understanding of the fundamental laws that govern universal behavior. So that was right on the money. Right on the money. And please rest assured, I do not have this book memorized. I don't believe in memorizing things that you can look up. Just saying. So that's really interesting. And it's really interesting that card came up, honestly, because again, I was watching that show, and it's always something that I like to use as examples when I talk to people about my beliefs specifically. And they look at me like I'm crazy and I grew a second head. So then I try to explain to them some on a very basic level of different things in quantum mechanics and quantum physics and the quantum world itself. And most of the time that loses them more than what I was trying to originally say anyway. But they also don't, but they stop looking at me like I'm funny. They start looking at me like, oh, you've really thought about this. And clearly you understand more about this than I care to even try to understand. And they usually just kind of leave it be. But they definitely stop looking at me funny. Because people, for the most part, respect science. And when you can compare science to something like quantum physics to your belief system and how you feel reality really works, it's so amazing. It's so amazing. Because then they really start to be like, oh fuck, what if what she's saying is how it really is? And even if they never think about it again in their entire life, I don't really care. The fact that they thought about it at all is what I care about. So anyway, that's kind of going off on a little tangent. So the next card that came up, well, the first card that came up in the reading is the High Priestess. Again, this is a Major Arcana card. When Major Arcana cards show their faces in a reading, this is talking about the divine having a say and playing a role in what's happening. So the Emperor is, of course, a Major Arcana card. And here we have the Empress, or the High Priestess, excuse me. And I do actually remember what the book says this is supposed to be. This is actually like a, I think the Mariana Trench. The map of the ocean, of the Mariana Trench, which the Mariana Trench, I might be saying that wrong, but whatever. There's a lot of things in there that are unknown and unseen because it's so damn deep. And we just can't go down there. And they're using that to explain the vastness of what the High Priestess card represents. So the High Priestess knows these things that are unseen. And truly, they're only unseen because people choose not to see it. It's right in front of their face if they care to pay attention. But most people don't. She does. And that's why she is aware. The moon is always talking about things that are hidden because of the dark side of the moon, of course. So the Empress is here because well, it's her time to shine. It's her time to shine. And to further explain the Emperor, or did I keep calling her the Empress? So, okay, so apparently this is like the Empress energy, but it's High Priestess. So I guess maybe this is talking about a couple. Maybe this is talking about a love, but this is talking about like the couple, the love, like when you were a little kid and you imagine you're Prince Charming, or I don't know if you're guy or girl, whatever, coming from this perspective of being a girl, you know, they always talk, you know, you watch little Disney movies and there's like Prince Charming and all that stuff, and And you think about how awesome it would be to have, like, you know, a husband, and because that's what they sell little girls. They sell them that dream. And it's an acceptable dream to have as a little girl. This is not a little girl, and she's moved beyond those types of ideas of what tradition means to her. And tradition, she's into making her own traditions. She's into doing her own thing because very few people are doing what she's doing, because she knows things that other people don't. So she's used to doing things by herself. She's used to kicking it solo dolo. Solo dolo. And I said it's her time to shine. The Sun card. The Sun card is the happiest. It's like yes. It is a card that means yes in the tarot deck. So we have the Sun and the Moon here. The Sun is what gives everything on this planet life. Ra. The Sun is what gives everything, what holds our constellation, or not necessarily our constellations, but our planet alignments and things like that. All that is held together by the Sun. And then we have the Knight of Pentacles, which is the slowest moving knight of all the knights in tarot. But they are the one that actually comes through. Might be a while for them to get there, but they're gonna get there. So I'm just gonna look at these cards here. So this knight is really obsessed with learning. I didn't even mean to, but I put the Sun on one side and the Moon on the other. It's like this knight, which is also a female. It's kind of hard to tell in this card. This knight is doing a lot of studying and rebuilding. She's building her armor as she's studying the best way to do it. And she's incredibly abundant. She's got coins. Coins are just showering down on her. Money is just coming from the sky on her. And she already has this big ass coin here, this gold right here. Money isn't her concern. Her concern is improving herself. And she's getting in touch with her dark and light sides. She's getting in touch with all of herself by learning what she likes and what she doesn't like. This is also talking about she's finding the information that she needs in order to improve her personal kingdom. So she's very astute and loves to learn. But in a sense, it's somewhat of a distraction. It's what's causing her the delay. Because she's too much in her mind. She's too much in her mind, and she needs to trust her instincts. And her instincts are the Sun and the Moon. The life giver and the secret keeper. And she is both of those things. She is also very abundant. She doesn't need to work for money. Money will always be there for her because she doesn't live in lack. her pursuit of knowledge is not to gain money, but to gain knowledge, and not for anything necessarily in particular. You know, she could just be taking a break right now from work in making her armor to read a book because it struck her fancy, and she's just reading a little bit there. This is somebody that's not interested in other people. Again, this is somebody that is used to being alone and probably prefers it. Mainly because anybody else that she finds herself surrounded by are like this emperor. Like, they just don't get it. They don't get how fucking awesome and powerful they are, and how restrictive they're making themselves. And she rather not impede on their journey and just be by herself, because it's everyone's journey to get to find. It's everyone's choice of how they're going to find themselves. Maybe the way you find yourself is through strict planning and being strategic, and having all your ducks in a row, as they like to say, planning for the future, preparing for the future, thinking about all the what ifs, and trying to do your best to prepare for those what ifs. Maybe that's how you find yourself. So it's not for the High Priestess to impede on that journey, because that's something else she also sees, is that generally most people are good. Even if they have things about them that aren't what most people would consider good, generally speaking, most people are good, and they're just trying to do their best and the best way they know how. So for the High Priestess to come in here and be like, listen, Emperor, you think you got all your shit together, but I don't know if you see what's going on behind you, but there's some shit going on behind you that's not following your rules, not following your bullet point list, and you're still somehow managing to pull off everything that you're pulling off. It's not her place to shine light on something or someone whom it would only blind them anyway. They won't see what you're trying to see. All they'll see is some rude lady coming up in their face being like, look, you can't see, let me help you see, and then just shines a bright ass light in their face. No, they're gonna be uncomfortable. They're gonna feel like their space is being invaded. They're not even gonna attempt to try and see or listen to you at that point. They just want you to get that bright ass light out their face. So she's okay being by herself and learning and reading and having a grand old time, because the sun is always shining on her wherever she is. Even when it's dark, the moon lights up her night. Yeah, and she can communicate with nature for sure. I mean, the sun is what brings life to the plants and stuff. It's like wherever she walks, there's life sprouting up around her. So she's incredibly abundant because her light shines wherever she is. And most of these kind of people end up staying away from her anyway, because innately there's something in them that they know that they're not ready for approaching her. I might come back to that. So here, this is a picture of a map of the Mariana Trench, and this six of swords. It's kind of hard to see, but there's people on boats, like weaving through the fog down there, and they're leaving. And to further explain the Six of Swords is the Ten of Wands, but it's in the reverse. So I think this is talking about right now all the people that are dying. The burden is too great for them. And of course, death is not a permanent thing. It's literally going home. They came to this earth plane, to do something. Every person is here for one reason or another. But with everything that's going on, especially with the sun, Ra, the sun, or sun god, is changing its frequency. Our entire Milky Way galaxy is actually moving into, everything in space is constantly moving. Nothing is stagnant. Everything is constantly moving. Everything is constantly moving in a circle and moving in a direction. And that's not just true for outer space, that's true for here too. Like when you break it down to, again, the way that DNA is, the pattern of DNA, and the way that atoms move around, all that stuff. So our galaxy, our Milky Way galaxy, is moving into a area in space that is of a higher vibrational field than we were previously in. And this is also what they talk about in, what do they call it, the Age of Aquarius or something like that. So what's happening with everyone dying, and there's people not just dying from corona right now. I hear it all the time on the news. I just heard, was it Larry King died? I think, yeah, Larry King and someone else, some other famous old white person. I can't remember their name. They died. Like, there are people dying all the time, and you hear about it so much. And it's not just COVID. A lot of people are dying all over the world right now. And it's because they haven't brought up their vibration high enough to be able to withstand what's going on on our planet and in the entire Milky Way galaxy. Like, this is affecting everything, and what's happening is they're getting sick. Their bodies are kind of turning on them. Things that they were maintaining, suddenly they can't maintain anymore, and it gets out of control, whether it be high blood pressure, whether it be diabetes, cancer, like any type of ailment that you can think of. It's like the body is working overtime because its vibrational level isn't where it needs to be. So that's what's happening with why so many people are leaving. And I don't like to, I said dying, but in my opinion it's leaving. because they need to continue their journeys that they're on in order to keep going, to find themselves, to find the part of themselves that they've chosen to forget, to come here in order to experience this world that we live in. They still need to continue their journey, but they're not going to be able to be on Mother Gaia, on our earth at this time, because it's just, in order for you to exist in a certain frequency, you have to hold that frequency, or else you won't be there. Okay, so an example, frequency is often translated into noise. There are many different frequencies that the human ear cannot hear, but dogs and cats can hear it, for example. Now, just because we can't hear it doesn't mean that those frequencies aren't there, but we don't experience those frequencies at all because our ear isn't capable of hearing it. It's the same thing on other levels besides hearing. It's the same type of idea. And then we have the Ace of Cups, which I have already kind of showed. The Ace of Cups here in the reverse. So the Ace of Cups usually talks about a new beginning in love, a new passionate beginning in love, but this is in reverse. So this is saying that this isn't a new beginning. And it's not about having a new beginning with love. It's about continuing the journey through the illusion, to continue to see the illusion for what it is. Hang on a second, let me just look at this one upright. Oh, and the other card that is with that explains that is this the Seven of Cups. Seven of Cups talks about having too many options, or the options that you have are all shit. All the options that you have are pretty shitty, or there are some good options in here, but I guess good depends on who's looking. They're just different animals there, but if you pay attention, it's just an illusion. It's all like this mist forming into a solid, which honestly, that's what all creation is. This seems solid, but we know when we go down to the like basic levels, it's mostly empty space. But it seems solid to us on this scale. But it's really not solid, and it's moving. It seems like it's not moving, but it is, because we know that's what happens with atoms and particles. So when I look at the Ace of Cups in the upright, it shows the cup like feeding these plants down here, feeding an outside source. So again, I feel like this is talking about feeding yourself, taking care of yourself, loving yourself, taking your resources and not doling them out to everything around you until you have nothing. It's about utilizing the resources that you have within you for you, and not feeling bad about that. Not feeling like you're missing out on some new love because you're sitting there busy worrying about loving yourself. Well, no one's gonna love you like you can love you. And honestly, in our society today, we're usually our worst judge. We usually judge ourselves way more harshly than we do other people. And we give other people chance after chance after chance. But if we make one little mistake, we're just like embarrassed and we think about it and we keep dwelling on it, and then we like, how could you let that happen? You can't let that happen again. And then we maybe choose not to do certain things to avoid that thing from happening again. And it's just like everyone else, yeah, we'll give chance after chance after chance. And this is like, no. Give yourself a chance after chance after chance and tell the outside world to fuck off with its illusions. Tell everyone else that wants you to fill up their cup before you fill up yours, fuck off. There's a full cup here. There's a full cup, and this is just being lovingly just given to things around it. Loving yourself means not feeling guilty about keeping yourself to yourself, keeping your resources to yourself, telling people no, not giving people chances. You don't have to give anybody a single chance if you don't want to. And you shouldn't have to feel bad about that. Well, you shouldn't feel bad about that. And then we have the next set of cards, which are two major arcana cards. There's a lot of major arcana cards being pulled here. So this is definitely divine intervention happening, especially with everything that's going on. It's like we think about, it's like blatantly obvious as you think about the state of our country right now in America and our government. And it's not just our government, it's like a lot of governments. It's the way that they've been set up. It's the way they've been set up, and it doesn't work anymore. And it doesn't work because they're so strict, they're so rigid, and they only benefit certain people. And it's becoming more and more obvious that it benefits very few people. And it's getting to the point where the government isn't even trying to hide it. Like, they spent a ridiculous amount of money on the inauguration thing where they officially signed in Biden. For what? They like gave pennies to American people. But for the inauguration right now, like, oh, we can afford $200 million for this, but for you right there, you know, you lost your job, and you're in the process of being evicted, and you don't have any health insurance. Oh, here's a little $600 for you, but oh, guess what? You don't get that money because the bank took it because you have a negative balance, or you just didn't even get your check. Like, it's just, it's becoming blatantly obvious. The things that they want to keep hidden, they know that they can't keep hidden anymore. Especially not from people like this. We see the illusions for what they are. Whether we want to admit it out loud, we can at least admit it to ourselves. Anubis, what are you doing? Will you chill out, please? Going all over the place, acting like a crazy kitty. Can you chill out, please? I love you. So the next two cards are a doozy because they came out together. And let me tell you what, these two cards coming out together is very troublesome, to say the least. We've got the Magician and the Devil. The Devil's also a female in this deck. Do you see that? Those are like tombs. Like, the kind of, they look like the old school caskets. And the Magician And the Magician here, where clearly there is some kind of battle or war going on. And he's utilizing the power grid that's everywhere. And I'm not talking about anything man-made. I'm talking about the natural power grid that's everywhere. So, considering I just went off on a tangent about the government, I think that's what this is probably alluding to. This also looks like the Magician here looks like he's forming a little solar system. There's a sun in the middle, and there's planets that he's conjuring up around it. I mean, right there, that's a new Earth. The new Earth is for all these folks that can't get their shit together and aren't quite there yet vibrationally to continue this journey on this planet, because our planet is headed towards ascension. That's why there's so much pressure. That's why there's so much bullshit going on. Because if it was all happy-go-lucky and we were all happy with everything that was going on, why would we care if things would change? And change absolutely is inevitable. But right now, complacency is gone. It's out the window. Yeah, so this is talking about all these people that are dying are going to this new Earth, quote unquote. New Earth is just a way for me to say it like it's gonna be their new home. Their new planet to continue their spiritual journey to find themselves. And they've got some ways to go, because the devil obviously is talking about things that no longer serve you, but you still continue to be a part of, even though they don't serve you, they don't help you. It's talking about addictive personalities, fear. This is talking about, secrets. Yeah, and there's coins raining down on the devil too here. So it's like the promise of riches, but you have to give over your freedom for it. And even like with the magician, magicians manipulate their environment according to their will. Whereas the high priestess, she flows with her environment to co-create. And yes, her will is there, but she's not setting any intentions. She's flowing. Setting your intention, like saying, well, this is what I'm going to do. Like, okay, you're going to say, I'm going to get a better paying job because I need more money. So you know what that's saying? You're saying that you don't have enough money. So that's the energy you're putting out there. It's lackful energy. That's what the magician does. That's what the magician and the devil energy together, that's definitely what that is. Very lackful, living in fear, flight or fight mode all the time. And I was kind of speaking on this earlier. People that are stuck in flight or fight mode causes their body stress, and stress can do awful things to you. It will literally kill you. And then you almost get like addicted to it once your body gets used to it, because it starts to create certain chemicals in your body, and that's why you have thrill seekers and things like that, or why you might get off on getting into a fist fight with somebody and just beating the shit out of them, and that's a good time to you. And I'm not saying this from a place of judgment. I'm just saying that some people like that. Some people like to do that. And some people look at that and just think that's horrific and horrible. Like, how can you enjoy that? But it's what their life is. And then to further explain the devil and the magician together is the Seven of Wands. And the Seven of Wands usually talks about, you know, trying to take time out for yourself and to go within and to kind of protect yourself while you're doing that. So this is saying that you really have to watch out for this devil magician energy and protect yourself from it. You have to protect your light from it. See here, the hand, there's a hand and there's like, it looks like it's in like a dead forest or something. Maybe like a secret garden, and there's like these like dagger things coming out. Almost like a security measure. So this is talking about erecting energetic boundaries to protect yourself. That at times it's necessary to center yourself in order to find yourself, to center yourself. And now at the same time, and going in with the intention of erecting boundaries around you is something that the magician would do. So I think it's talking about also like having a balance. Of course it is. The next card is Temperance, which is balance. This is talking about finding a balance between working with your environment and the energies around you and feeling safe and protected, but not going to the point where you're like trying to force your will on your environment around you in order to feel safe and protected. I feel like I need to pull another card. So I'm going to pull another card. Tell me more about the Devil, Magician, and the Seven of Wands here, please, Spirit. The Five of Wands in reverse. What the hell is on my card? What is that? What? These cards are expensive. And something just spilled on this. That's cool. These are like water resistant, so that's cool because whatever was just stuck on them just came right off. So the Five of Wands in reverse. So the Five of Wands talks about competition and fighting and things like that. So that's in the reverse. So it's saying that you can protect yourself. You can protect that which you cherish, not just yourself, without inflicting your will on other people and the environment around you to the point where it's a conflict. That when you have the power of the Empress, I keep saying the Empress, the High Priestess, and the Sun here. I mean, when you have that kind of power, you don't need to do that much to protect yourself. You just need to have the right mindset, not come from a place of lack, and not to look at death like it's the end. It's just the beginning of another journey. And of course, I said this has to do with finding a balance, and then the next card that's here is Temperance, which is all about balance. See the yin yang symbol in the back there, and at her feet, on one side she has the swords of soldiers that have died, and on the other side there's flowers. Of course, she has brilliant red long hair. And then we have, with that, the Queen of Pentacles, but it was in the reverse. So the Queen of Pentacles is abundant, clearly, but this is in the reverse. But we already talked about abundance and how this High Priestess is abundant. So this isn't talking about an abundance necessarily with wealth. Yes, she does have that, because here's the Knight, and the Knight is just raining down. The Devil also has that. Not as much as the Knight of Pentacles, but there's some coins. It's kind of hard to see, but there's some coins. There's some coins there as well, but they're attached to chains and coffins. Where this is coming from curiosity and learning and progressing and growing and changing slowly, fluidly. Not rushing it, not having any particular goal in mind, just doing what feels right in the moment. And in the moment, she's reading that book. She's stopping whatever she's doing with that hammer to read something in that book. Doesn't really make sense why she would choose to read a book at that time, but that's what she wanted to do. So this is talking about finding a balance between the physical and the spiritual. Again, finding that which we lost. We're very familiar with the physical and the 3D and that life, but we've become very disconnected from our spirit selves. We've become very disconnected from nature, and the Queen of Pentacles is all about nature, and it's in the reverse. And she's connected with animals, and it doesn't matter that in this picture, she's feeding a hummingbird and a snake at the same time. And normally, I think a snake would eat a hummingbird if it could, for sure. Probably wouldn't be able to catch it, but it could right now. But no, it's just taking the food that's being offered from the Queen of Pentacles. So let me just look at these cards here. Well, I think maybe it's in the reverse, because this is again saying she's kind of relying on a leaf to cover her head. This is talking about being self-reliant, relying on just you, not your environment, not any wealth that you may have accumulated. This journey is about finding a balance between life and death. Oh, this is talking about seeing in between. I actually had I don't know what you want to call it, a waking dream. I was coming out of a dream, and I was very much, I know that I was awake because my eyes were open, but my mind was still in dream mode, coming out of dream mode, and I seen two figures standing. Again, they would have been in my room, but when I saw them, they didn't look like they were in my room. They looked like they were like in a field or something. But when I looked at the end of my bed, that's where I saw them. And couldn't even tell what the other figure looked like. I just knew that it was a figure, a person, and the person that was talking to me didn't have a face, had a head that was just light. It was like the shape of a head. It reminded me of that old Critter movie. I think it's Critters, where like the good guy or the guy from space. It's so long since I've seen that movie. Like the guy from space or something, like always had on like this helmet and mask thing, and then when it finally got taken off, it was just literally looked like a light bulb head. That's what I saw. And the person, whatever it was, said to me in my head, I don't remember the exact words, but I actually wrote it down and drew a picture directly afterwards. And that's the only reason why I even still remember it. But it said something about, we are aware that you can see in between. So this is again the reason why the High Priestess is here, because she sees things that other people don't. And there are portals everywhere. If you find a way to balance yourself physically and mentally and spiritually, and I mean like communicating like with the cells in your body, like you can literally heal yourself if you wanted to, but you can't do it through will. You have to do it through co-creation, because just like the planets and the stars, the cells in your body all work together and have very similar, they act the same as particles, in a sense. And there's this thing called free will, which the devil doesn't want you to acknowledge. And that's why it's paired with the magician, because the magician is always trying to manifest through his will. But the problem with that is that's inflicting your will on things around you, which inflicts on their free will, which is the conflict. And that's the reason why it takes a lot more effort to create that way. It takes a lot less effort to create when you work in tandem with whatever it is that you're trying to change and mold. And because creating is essentially changing. And I think this is talking about stuff that's happening when you sleep, because like the Queen of Pentacles is in reverse. Like if she was in the upright, she'd be awake. So like this would be like her asleep, and she looks like she's asleep. Again, it might be hard to see, but her eyes are closed. And she looks like she's in deep thought and meditation or sleep. So the work that we need to do is not just in our waking life, but it's also when we dream. And the work that we do when we dream is so important, because things flow there so much easier. You don't need to have definitions for everything for you to understand something. In fact, in waking life, when you think of dreams, it makes absolutely no fucking sense how, when you think about things that you might have been thinking about or feeling in a dream, you're like, why the fuck was that? Why was I thinking that or feeling that? Like, why? That doesn't even make any sense. But in the dream, it makes complete sense. And the dreams teach us to look at things differently. The dreams teach us to think outside of the box. The dreams teach us to see more. And it's like more and more the physical aspects, because pentacles are all about the physicality, the 3D, the tangible things. That's becoming less and less important. And in its place is temperance, balance. This is also kind of ironic that it's the next card after the Magician. But this is about alchemy, which is a form of magic, changing one element into another element, which is like what I was talking about with working with co-creating, working with your environment, knowing how your environment works in order to change it, but not changing it to the point where you're destroying it, changing it to the point where it transforms and turns into something else versus no longer ceases to be. All energy never goes away. It just changes shape. It moves. And then to further explain that is the Ten of Cups. And Ten of Cups is like the Sun card. It's a great card. Ten of Cups is happy life, everything you've ever wanted. It's the card after wish fulfillment. So that means you got your wish. This is your wish realized. All your cups are full. Even the cups that are cracked. Is there cracked cups on here? Yeah, there's some cracked cups on here, broken cups. It doesn't matter. They're full too. And the swords. Temperance, there's swords sticking up there. All the swords that were used in the battle are now come together in a golden crown of peace and beauty. And it was lovingly done so, because it was, a lot of detail and time had to go into that to shape those swords into that arrangement. Well, that's great. So I don't know that this is necessarily talking about bonding with someone else. I feel more and more this is talking about bonding, finding yourself, finding your truth, finding the part of us that we have forgotten. You know, the part of us that when we were a kid, we used to play imagination. Like, yeah, I used to play with my Barbies and stuff like that. I didn't, you know, it was just a thing that we did. It wasn't like we did it for any purpose. We didn't do it for any particular goal. Some people had imaginary friends. I don't think that I don't remember me having imaginary friends, but I personally believe that they probably weren't necessarily imaginary. They were beings of some sort, and I don't necessarily even mean ghosts because, again, back to the frequency thing. Things exist in different frequencies, and we may not be tuned into it, so therefore we don't even know it's there, but it's still there. So this is talking about finding the balance in our lives as they are now, so that we can see the truth of what's really going on, not just with our environment around us, but within us, and to know that we're completely capable of protecting ourselves and protecting the things that we cherish and love without fighting with other people, without competing with other people. Other people can think differently, and that's okay. They're allowed to think and feel however they want to. All that matters is that we continue to move in a way that is conducive to our environment for our growth. So live and let live. And I think I'm going to pull this is a new deck I got. It's an Oracle deck, the Lantern Oracle. So I'm going to just maybe pull one or two cards for, I don't know, advice or just like a general closing of the reading, just to wrap it all up, bring it together. These are not traditional tarot cards. This is an Oracle deck, so every single card has its own meaning, and I have to read the book. Well, I mean, I can look at, anyway, we'll get to it. Let me just... I just want to meditate on those little tiny bit, put some of my energy into it. I'm just going to shuffle. This is why I try to do this before I record, because this just takes time, and my readings are long enough. These cards do not want to shuffle. Okay, fine. I won't shuffle anymore, just see what comes out. Give me like one or two cards, please, to pull to end this, to tie it all together. Please. Anubis, what are you doing? Oh, okay. Oh, here's two. What we got? Ooh. False beliefs and renewal. False beliefs says, once the untruths that we believe about ourselves are illuminated, so are the ways we can release the false limitations they confine us to. Well, hello. And regeneration begins with decay. Oh, well, there you fucking go. There you fucking go. Okay, so this is why I love tarot. So just look at these cards. These cards are beautiful. Owls. Owls are known to be wise, ancient, and she looks like she's coming, like, she looks like she just, like, jumped through a fucking portal or something, oddly enough. Like, I don't know what that light stuff is around her, but what is she wearing? Like, she looks like she's wearing something that would, like, be in this magician's time. like, and then she's got like these horn things coming out from her, and they're all wrapped in chains. It's very interesting. Also very interesting because when I was showing it here, when I showed this owl card, when I looked at it through my phone, it looked like the owl was looking forward. But it's not. Okay. And the renewal, she's got a bird on her shoulder too. Is that got a hat on it? It's like a little blue bird, but it's got something red on it. And she's like walking through like a swamp or something. Alright, so let me just read what the book says about these cards. Alright, so this isn't one that I highlighted yet. Okay, so I'll just read it. Our unhelpful core beliefs are predominantly invisible, so are the ways they influence our experience of reality. Our false beliefs act as tinted lenses, seeing the illusion. Tinted lenses that harmfully distort our perception of the world, others, what is possible, and ourselves. For example, you might believe the falsehood that you are not good enough, that you are unlovable, or that you are bad. Such inaccurate convictions will inform how you make sense of your experience, as well as influence the impossibly high or dangerously low standards you have for yourself, others, and relationship dynamics. False beliefs have the potential to be particularly dangerous because we cannot see when others are using them to manipulate and take advantage of us. Our false beliefs blind us to what we allow into our lives and how we co-create or even perpetually repeat an unwanted, toxic, or even potentially dangerous situation. Like staying in relationships just because that's what you've always done, when you damn well know they're not good for you. Like that. I just put that little tidbit in there, obviously. Oh shit, where did I leave off? When we can see how our thoughts, feelings, and choices contribute to what is happening for us, we have the key to set ourselves free. Upon learning to see clearly and truthfully, it is up to us to replace our false beliefs with true ones and live by them. And that's what I was saying here with these two cards, that we can hold on to our truth and what's dear to us without it being a conflict with other people or being detrimental in any way. This requires us to love ourselves enough, to love ourselves enough to replace the lies such as I am unworthy with the truth I am worthy. The featured mother supports you in centering yourself within the magnificent light of your spirit self. Okay, so that's supposed to be the animal, maybe is the spirit self. She encourages you to walk your path to the pace and the rhythm of your own beat and to turn every obstacle into a way forward. This card suggests a time of increasing awareness. Oh, wait. What did it say? within the magnificent light of your spirit self. Hello, the Sun card. This card suggests a time of increasing awareness, which I said that also. He said this is the time when we're moving into a higher vibration frequency, which is making people more aware. I touched on that. By identifying what is actually taking place for you in the present, your refined clarity and focus will begin to change it. And I said that too. Working, co-creating with your environment. That's exactly what I was saying. It is up to you to continue this process of awakening to your true self. Awakening to your true self. Finding the part of us that we forgot. Awakening to your true self. And potential by questioning, reflecting upon, and actively dissolving whatever misbeliefs are blocking you from your power. And that right here is this energy. The misbeliefs that are blocking you from your power. The beliefs that have been bred into us since God knows when, that told us that we're limited beings and that we're not enough. And that's a lie. We are enough and we are limitless. Keep losing my place here. Like the featured mother, walk only at your own pace and according to your inner knowing. Step by step, you will incrementally see what needs to be tended to next, and how you can go about it. Journaling is a useful tool and a most loyal and empowering ally for this kind of work. Talking through what comes up in your journaling with someone safe and appropriately informed can be of incredible benefit too. False beliefs create darkness in areas where the mind requires light the most. Hold every question in the illuminating space of your heart. Accept the answer that shines through, even when it is contrary to what you want to be. That means letting go of any identities that you've held on to for so long. If finding your truth in your true self means that you have to let go of identities that you've held on to your entire life, then let them go. Because if you don't let them go, then you're in essence denying your truth. Accept the answer that shines through, even when it is in contrary to what you want to be. The heart, like the owl, is too wise and white ever to lie or mislead. All right. And then 27. So 27 is when the foundation of your life cracks, or the identity we understand ourselves through collapses. Were we not just talking about that? About letting go of identities? Okay. Understand ourselves through... I'll just start over. When the foundation of our life cracks, or the identity we understand ourselves through collapses, it can take some time to clear out the wreckage. It can take even longer to build a new vision and begin constructing our life's new direction going forward from it. Internally, we must first undergo a radical shift in thinking and feeling. It is so radical that once it is fully proposed, it has the power to reconfigure who we are in ways that enhance and restore our vitality. The gestation period can be challenging, which I feel like that's what's happening right now on our planet. This is, people are waking up, and now it's that period of transformation, which is bringing things to light that were previously not in the forefront. And that goes beyond the outside world, but with what we're individually going through, the realizations that we come to individually and privately. The gestational period can be challenging and at times bring us to our knees. Like the snake, we go through the pain of shedding the skin of our past and growing beyond our former life. It can hurt beyond belief to grieve over all that we need to let go of, especially if we are still heavily attached to our over-identified with what was and who we understood ourselves to be. The feeling of loss can be so overwhelming that it feels like a death. This is because it is metaphorically. The many non-literal deaths we experience throughout life are for releasing whatever has come to an end. The nature of our continual evolution requires us to rid ourselves of all the debris and allowing for the new. If something has left or ceased to be in our life, we are asked by our spirit self to trust that it is necessary for our highest growth. If we truly need what is lost, we will, in essence, but not necessarily form, find it eventually returned in an improved state. That is so true. And that's saying, if you love something, release it and see if it comes back to you, then it's truly meant for you. That's pretty much what that's saying. And if not, what is now genuinely right and necessary for us will come in due course. This is called, in essence, the law of attraction. When you work in co-creation with your environment, with your thoughts and feelings and your perceptions, instead of forcing your will, you don't need to make anything appear, because it will be attracted to you and it will come to you. And that is what this is saying. Nonetheless, the shock of what is not the same and painfully missed can continue to shatter and devastate us until we fully comprehend and destabilize from what has ended and is no more. To proceed with the unanticipated is all that remains in the power to do, aka flow, which I talked about. Flowing, not making a list and rules and how it should be done and when it should be done. Just flow. Allow. This often requires a level of maturity and acceptance that we need to develop. Patience is a virtue that it behoves us to have with ourselves throughout these dark periods. Like winter turns to spring overnight, we too awake one morning with the energy to continue and with the incredible lightness of renewal. Renewal takes the time it takes. And remember I talked about that with the knight here. Said it's the slowest moving night in the deck, but it's the one that you can count on. It's the one that you can count on that's gonna make it to the end, that's gonna reach whatever goal it is that it was attempting to get to. Knights represent movement, and sometimes messages. Oh, I done lost my spot. Renewal takes the time it takes. Nature will not be rushed. However, your spirit self will eventually awaken and shine through you. The featured guardian has shown up to remind you that renewal opens you further into all that you are, finding yourself, finding the part of you that you forgot. It is time to surrender something of who you believe you are to experience how much more of you there is to be explored and enjoyed. Wow, this is crazy. Long term, it is much more arduous. I use that word all the time, and here it is. It is much more arduous. I use it when I'm doing tarot a lot. I'm sorry. It is much more arduous and painful to remain stuck and limited because you have refused to fully shed and leave behind the dead skin of your past. The challenging process of regeneration is all about expanding into your new beginning. Embrace the next chapter of your life and let it be the best one so far. Maiden's message. Renewal reconciles every ending to its new beginning. Well, I think that wraps it up pretty freaking nicely. It literally, those two cards touched on almost everything that I was talking about. Yep. And like all these people that I said are leaving, they're in their process of shedding and renewing. Yeah. So that's what I got. It's pretty neat reading. And I'm gonna stop it there.